This is a continuation of this overnight sell-off. So we've had this overnight drift, and what you're then looking at is a break of 12 and then a continuation down through the previous day's low at 00. And you've also got then this high volume down here, and we're looking for a sweep through this and a continuation all the way down towards 33. There's a couple of little areas on the way down, around about 80, around about 60. But overall, the strategy is if you can come out of the purple box to the downside and confirm the downside move by breaking 00, we can then look for a move all the way down towards sort of 55, 33, 34 area. Let's get on with it. Starting off with strategies and setups. You can call it either or. Strategies and setups, what makes them good? Now, this is something that I think people spend a lot of time focusing on, and they look for a strategy, a thing that they can do, or they look for 2 or 3 of them. And then what they do is they jump around from different ideas to different ideas to different ideas. Now, the way that we approach it is slightly different. A strategy is your kind of overarching idea. And then within that, you've then got the question of how do you apply the strategy? So what this is all about is the difference between strategy and tactics. So if we think about strategy, this is your kind of overall way that you're going to go about doing things. So this is the structure of the idea. And I'll give you an example of this in a moment in the S&P. So this is going to be dictated to you by the situation that you are in, dependent upon whether you're opening with a gap down, a gap up, you're opening in range, you're opening looking like a potential trend with news, etc., etc. There's going to be a lot of things that feed into what strategy you're going to apply. Think of it like a sports match. You go into a sports game, whatever sport you're thinking of, and you're going to look at the team that you're playing against, and you're going to have a strategy for how you are going to try and beat them, which is going to be, to a degree, contingent upon the way that they play. You know, their style is going to influence the strategy that you're going to use to try and defeat them. So that's your kind of overall what you think is going to happen during the day, during the trading session. But then the question is tactics. The tactics are the how you're going to get this done. And what this means is how are you going to take on the parts of the move that apply best to you, the bits that you can kind of put into the strategy and go, well, if I think generally we're going to be looking for this move, then I've got certain trades within that I can then start to take on. So the idea here then is you have a situation which dictates the different strategies that you can use, and don't assume that you can only have one strategy. Every day is probably going to have 2 or 3 strategies that are applicable to it. Then the tactics come down to which of those strategies are you going to use and what exactly are you going to need to see to execute on any of those. So let's go and look at a little example. So this is coming into the open of the S&P on the 2nd of April, And what I've done here is I've broken down what's happened, and really simple. Yeah, this isn't the full details of it, but real simple. What we've got is a situation where we have this overnight sell-off. So when I say overnight, extended trading hours, the main session, this is your main session in here, this boxed area. And what we've got is this steady drift during the overnight session. This has then pulled us down towards the lower end of yesterday's range and stuck us really in this kind of small range between 12 and 26.5. If we look at the profile, what you've got is this little pocket of low volume in there. It's also the previous day's low. It's also where we had a bit of volume on this previous day. So this is then the area that you're going to look to try and escape from. That then should set up the next directional moves for you. So you can have a couple of different strategies here. Strategy 1 being you're going to try and play a reversal of this overnight move. So what you're looking for here then is initially a move up towards the bottom of value, 36. And then if we can stay above this lower sort of purple box, then we can play for the full move up towards 72, which was the previous day's close, previous highs, VPOC, where the volume comes in. Like I say, I'm not going to go into loads of detail on profile theory, but the simple idea is if you've got your close up here, you've got lots of volume up here. If you can get inside the value area, the purple area, we will get dragged up towards that. So that's the first idea. You then need a strategy around that. What are you going to do? This is the broad strategy. And then you can look at how can you play that, which is what we'll come on to in a moment. The next side of it is the red idea. This is a continuation of this overnight sell-off. So we've had this overnight drift. And what you're then looking at is a break of 12 and then a continuation down through the previous day's low at 00. And you've also got then this high volume down here. And we're looking for a sweep through this and a continuation all the way down towards 33. There's a couple of little areas on the way down, around about 80, around about 60. But overall, the strategy is if you can come out of the purple box to the downside and confirm the downside move by breaking 00, we can then look for a move all the way down towards sort of 55, 33, 34 area. And then finally, you've got probably the one that no one wants, which is the one where we fail to show any direction. You move out of the box to the upside and fail to get up into this zone up here, up into previous day's value, and you come out of the box to the downside, break 00, and you run into the first area of support down at 92, and we rotate back up from there as well, leaving us with a day that is somewhat muted. Don't get me wrong, it's still a 50 handle day, but compared to previously, it's rather limited. So that's your overall strategy. And so what you've then got is a few different reference points, or in particular 2 at 26 and 12, which are at least going to give you a clue to the direction for the rest of the day. So this is then where your tactics can come in. So let me bring you on to that one. If we go and think about the tactics of how we're going to go about trading this. So what I've done, I've brought this down onto a smaller chart. So it's a little bit more detailed or a little bit more zoomed in. So what we've now got is an opportunity to take on a couple of trades. Now, the important thing to remember with any kind of overarching strategy, if indeed we are going to move throughout the day and trade all the way up here towards 72, and I'm sure many of you can remember Liberation Day and know that we did do this. And in fact, we did actually make it through these highs at 56.95. If that's to happen, it's not likely to do it in a straight line. So what you've then got to look at is at what point can you be confident that this is going to happen and we are going to get up towards 72? Well, the point for me that you could be confident of that would be the point when you get back inside the previous day's value area. So this is the 56.36 area. On the downside, if you're going to get that continuation down, we can break 12. That gives you your initial potential move. But crucially, if we can't get below 00, it's not going down. So this then brings in a couple of little trades that you can take on. This is your tactics. This is your opportunity to make something of this before it's actually become the bigger move. And so whichever way it goes, you need an idea of what you're going to play for. And this is the sort of scalping element of it. This is an off the open type of trade. So whenever you're taking any trade straight from the open, part of your tactics around that is you're going to look for an initial move before you then get more information about whether this is going to turn into a much bigger move. So the initial idea, if this is going to go up, what I want to see is I want to see some momentum up here. So what I mean by momentum is I want to see the market push and hold and push and hold and push and hold. So I don't want to see it rotating back a lot. I want to see it moving up, moving up. It feels like it drives higher. So that's what I'm looking for. If we get that up here or moving into 26.5, I'm happy to try and play this as a quick scalp up to 36. It's not a huge move, but what I'm doing by doing that is extracting something out of the market, which then allows me a bit more risk to then go and play for the bigger move, which is perhaps going to require a larger stop, is perhaps going to require a couple of additional goes, or perhaps a longer time in the trade. This should be a pretty straightforward scalp here. There's another variation of this trade, and this is something that I incorporate into a lot of my ideas, which is the overnight sell-off and playing this rather than from here, but I'm looking for a failure down and then the move back up. So that's the alternative way. If it fails to go down, then you could attempt to buy it as it comes back through the open. Notice I don't want, and this is a really important part of any tactic, I don't want to be here and thinking to myself, am I going to sell it or am I going to buy it? The plan when you get to 12 is this is a sell. And you're going to sell it and look for 00. That's really key. the plan is to sell it when it gets there. The only way that I'm going to be buying it anywhere below 26.5 is if it fails and then trades back through the open, and you can try and buy it there for that move. So really, really important to be very clear on the sequence of events that are going to happen and the tactics that you're going to have around those different events. I'm actually going to show you how this trades, because what's really important as well is the distinction between a momentum type move and an acceleration. If this is going to continue what is already a big sell-off, I don't want to see this pushing its way down. Okay, so on the move down, because this has already been a significant sell-off, what I need to see crucially here is new selling coming in. So if you get new selling coming in, I want to see this quick, push it through that level. We've had a couple of attempts already down here, so you don't want to see this stalling again. So there's quite a distinction in what you're looking for. If this is going to keep going, you want to see this straight through 12. Using 12, 11, 10, and part of your expectation is you probably won't be able to sell 12. You're perhaps going to have to sell slightly lower, but this move here should be a quicker move than this move towards the upside. So now, rather than just having a strategy that you're going to say, well, every time I see this type of idea, I'm going to play for a reversal and I'm going to play this back up. You've now got options, and you've got different tactics around how you're going to trade different parts of this move. There's the initial scalp trade, and then from here or here, you're then going to get a secondary trade, which is to play that much wider move.